work today. Wow. And it's a Monday.
Can't ask for anything more than that.
I know. I'm excited. All right. That's my husband's timer. All right.
Like, me?
Yeah, right. So thanks everyone for joining us. I'm excited to dive into this. And let me just make sure that we are good in the other group too. So if you have attended the SVG Crafters Summit, this is kind of a fun follow-up workshop. And it looks like we're good over there. And then we are also on YouTube. So if you're jumping on, say hello. We were just talking about how cold it is. So it is negative 11 here. How cold is it there, Cori?
Oh, it's a full 24 degrees here. So it's practically tropical weather compared to you.
Right? So we wouldn't even need coats in that weather here from North Dakota. Okay, well, let's dive in. I'm excited that you're joining us. My name is Chelly from We Can Make That, and this is my crafty friend Cori from Hey Let's Make Stuff. So do you want to tell them just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cori. My blog and YouTube channel is Hey Let's Make Stuff, and shockingly, I make stuff. I like that we have kind of like overlapping names here. We Can Make That, Hey Let's Make Stuff. It works really well. Yeah. I focus on crafting tech, so Cricut, sublimation, printers, DTF printing, laser cutting, anything you can make with a machine. That's what I focus on, and I've been doing this forever.
Right. And I tell people how long I've been an entrepreneur. It really makes me feel old. So
very old, yes.
But then I tell them I started when I was 13, so which is also a lot. But we are, I mean, as you can tell just from our talking about it and how, we're obviously, from what you see behind us, in this up to our eyeballs, and love to share how you can make money, how you can profit from your hobbies. So today we're going to dive into 3 things to know when starting a craft business. And again, if you already have one and you feel like you are not at the level that maybe you had hoped you'd be at this point, or you feel like it's taking a little bit more to get to that point, these are also 3 things that maybe will help you jumpstart that. All right. So let's dive in. The first one I have on the list is, what will you sell? That seems kind of obvious though, right? But when you first start out and you're like, okay, I'm going to start making crafts, and you kind of feel like you dip your toe into the water and you maybe put out 3 or 4 things, but I really think it's beneficial to dive into, I'm going to make tumblers, or I'm going to make graphic tees, and really focus on one thing and then push that forward.
Yeah, I would agree. I usually tell people that there are kind of 2 ways to niche down, right? So you can niche down sort of by the type of product that you're making. So like you said, you can make graphic tees, you can make tumblers, and those could have a whole bunch of different themes depending on what you're making. Or I think you can also niche down by theme, and you can make a lot of things within that theme. So say you wanted to make gifts for teachers. So you could make, tumblers and mugs and all these things. Teachers, don't come at me. I know you don't need more mugs. But I think you can like choose, maybe whatever your theme is, like maybe it's pet products, things like that, where it's like you're making quite a few different things, but they all feel like they are still cohesive into one sort of niche.
Yes. And I love that, because then the other thing with that, the first one, what will you sell, is who you're going to sell it to. So if you're selling things for teachers or to teachers or for pet owners, you could do the customized t-shirts with funny sayings for their cats or dogs or whatever. But then you also have all the way up to, I just sent a friend a gift because her furry baby had passed away. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a bigger pool than you think once you start diving into it, but then you don't have to keep finding new customers.
Right. I think that by niche is a lot easier, because I think it's just easier to find your people a lot of times. Like kind of everybody needs a tumbler, and that sounds really good, but so many people are making tumblers. Whereas if you're like, I'm going to make only true crime tumblers or something, where it's like you're finding that niche of people who are like, oh, I'm a true crime fan as well. Or I have, a Bernese Mountain Dog, and this is like, they're making cute pet stuff and they feature Bernese Mountain Dogs, or whatever it is. I feel like finding your audience is a little bit easier when you niche down by theme versus niche down by product. I do think it's totally possible to niche down by product, but I like the theme because I feel like it just connects you with your ideal customer a little bit more easily than trying to make tumblers, but then you're trying to make one for every person out there. And that's just impossible. And it gets really watered down when you do it that way.
Yes. Kind of takes you out of that. I feel like I'm in a saturated market.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
and you get to craft more about your passion, right? So I think that's really important as well, because I feel like, for me, one of my passions, and I actually talk about this in some of my other stuff that I do, is I had 2 babies in the NICU. And so one of my passions is especially giving good care for parents in the NICU. And so I love when I find NICU themed stuff out there, even though my boys are 8 now. I do it's just like one of those little things where you're like, oh, she's speaking right to me. I'm the ideal customer. And I love how that feels on the buyer end.
Yeah, I do love that too. So do you, all those that are listening, this isn't just Cori and I talking. So this is what we like to structure as a workshop. So I would love to hear if you guys have a niche or a product in mind. Go ahead and put it in the comments, and let's see. Then we can kind of keep talking and gear this towards maybe even some of those. But yeah. I do love that. So I was thinking, when you niche down and you think, well, but what if I only make mugs or tumblers for nurses? Eventually those nurses or those customers are going to reach out and say, hey, we're going on a family retreat. Can you make tumblers for my family that says, vacation 2024? So your customers in a broader net will find you, but first you have to find those customers. So that's one of those things with niching down.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, that, if you can make something that really appeals to them in the beginning, then finding other things that will appeal to them within that same niche is a little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Christina says she focuses on jewelry, mostly earrings. Perfect.
I love jewelry.
We should have people drop their shops down below.
Yeah, drop your shops. Check it out.
We'd love to shop on cold days, right? I don't plan on selling, but I need to keep my mind open and options open. I love that. Yes, you can never stop learning, right? Yes. I've been on for a couple days in a row now.
Yeah, I think that cards are big. I like cards.
Yes, Regine says I make and sell multiple products, so that's good. I love right now is rhinestones. Yes, and I'm seeing they're one of Pinterest's hot topics right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow Eve from The Baby's Booty. She loves rhinestones.
Yes, met her last summer. That was fun. Yes. I've done things on request: wine glasses, coffee mugs, and I have down teas. I also want to try to do jewelry. But
nice thing about jewelry is I feel like unless you're making expensive jewelry, there's room to mess up when it comes to making jewelry because it's small. That's one of the things that I
love to order jewelry online because I never have to worry about it fitting.
It's so true. Very true.
Or outgrowing it. Or undergrowing. Yeah. Oh, funny. So sweet. Okay. I love that. All right. So that was number 1, is what you're going to sell, which kind of included who are you selling to, but that kind of narrows down with the niche. So number 2 I have on the list is where will you sell it? So this is, craft booths, craft fairs, church bazaars is a really good place if you're just starting to dip your toe into it. There's endless possibilities online with, e-commerce platforms, which would be, what we might refer to as websites or Etsy, Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook groups.
Yes. Starting your own group. And, when I first started in this world, that wasn't even a thing. And now I am in so many groups that I probably need to get out of some of them because they're just like little shopping groups. Yeah. Totally. And the nice thing is your reach on that social media is a little bit further. It's a lot easier to get to them with some of the tools that they have available on there now, and it's free. So if you're starting out,
especially if you're starting out, free is good.
Yeah.
We have a lot of craft fairs up here that are just, I don't know. I feel like there are all sorts of different types of craft fairs. There's like the church bazaar kind of craft fair. And then there's we live kind of in a neighborhood outside of town, and we just have like a giant neighborhood craft fair, which is really fun. That also has a bunch of other stuff going on, it's just really fun.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for when people are venturing into that craft fair world?
The biggest place that I know of finding craft fairs for me is our local community Facebook group. So I don't know if your town has a Facebook group. I know ours can go from being really friendly to being really toxic, like a lot of Facebook groups, but they do moderate it pretty well. But they always put like, this is coming. I mean, we live in like Northwest Washington, basically as far as you can go without like in the continental United States. And so we're kind of in a medium-sized town, and then there's lots of little small towns around here. And so they'll also post if there's craft fairs and those sorts of things, even in the surrounding towns. So I think we have a pretty good community up here, I think, of people who are, wanting to craft and begin craft fairs, a lot of handmade stuff. So I would say locally, looking both in the Facebook group for our neighborhood, and then we also have a newspaper, which, I mean, like, how old do I sound right now? I've got like a community newspaper, and all of the fairs are listed in there as well.
Oh, that's good. And usually those are even online. Usually the newspapers have like a little section on their website, so you don't even have to go buy a newspaper.
Right. Yeah, ours just comes to our house.
Yeah, to dig into that. And then
somebody says they have a barn that was made for crafters to get booths, and that's what we have as well. We have a big barn.
Funny. Yeah, I like that. We do have our town, we have the community groups too, but there's even one that is just for craft fairs, craft shows, vendor shows.
Yeah.
I would search a couple of those: craft fair, craft booth, craft event. And that will probably be your best bet if you could get in one of those groups, if you have one. And then you can see if you're really nervous. I saw somebody said they were nervous about starting with those. So even attending the craft shows for 3 or 4 months and kind of seeing what's there, seeing whose booths are busy, seeing what kind of traffic comes into that event, and then get to know the host of the event. Introduce yourself. And, tell them that you're thinking about venturing that. Because I know a lot of the craft shows around here, sometimes I don't go because it's the same booths over and over again.
Yeah.
And those hosts of those events are looking for others. And there's a wide variety too, like you said, from the smaller church ones to the ones, at our big event center that are, a few $100s. But
yeah, we have the one we have actually 2 big ones that are locally. There's one in the summer and then there's one in the barn in the winter. And the hosts of that event are they give booths first come, first serve, but they will only take a certain number of people selling the same thing. So if you're like the 3rd person to sign up for soap, they're like, no, we'll put you at the end of the list just because we really want a good variety, which is nice. My mom does craft fairs way more often than I do actually now. She makes handmade bags, and almost nobody makes handmade bags. So she can get into a lot of craft fairs. And that's another reason why niching down, like we talked about earlier, if you're like, I'm selling all nurse or medical related, stuff for funny nurse stuff or whatever, that might appeal to the host more than just like, I make tumblers or, whatever it is.
Yes. I love that. So Lori says she's having a hard time niching down. She's currently doing sewing, cricket paper crafts, and crochet.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I think that's a fun niche down variety instead of thing. Like if I'm looking for a creative gift for somebody, all of those things fit into it. So,
and I think too, I wouldn't like, so I'm going to tell my personal story here. So I've been blogging for last year, it was 20 years. So I've been blogging for 20 years. I started my first blog in 2003. And so I've been doing this a very long time. And when I was blogging I quit my job in 2013 to try and do this full time. And for the first couple of years, I tried to do everything, right? I was doing crafts and cooking and lifestyle and being a mom and travel and all of these things. And my business was not growing very much. And so I had to niche down. So I niched down sort of to crafting tech, right? So it's all machines. And after that, things were fine. And so I think if you have a bunch of things that you love to make, you can keep some of those maybe for yourself, Like, don't stop sewing or crocheting, or don't stop making Cricut stuff. But maybe if you're doing something in person, like a craft booth, choose like, okay, this will be like, let's see how crochet does this time. And then for the next one, we can say like, okay, how does my sewing stuff do? So you can like kind of test the waters a little bit instead of necessarily having everything out. Although I don't think it's necessarily bad. I do think it just can create some confusion if you don't have like a unified theme to everything.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe there's different times of the year where, if you do 2 or 3, 4 different things, where at the fall ones, it's always going to be signs and tumblers, but then, maybe you can do a variety depending on the season too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. And as you grow your business, it feels like it expands. So, you start out with one machine, and now how many machines do you have in your
frightening number of machines?
I just recently taken over another bedroom in our house, and telling my husband it's normal. It's totally normal. Besides, the kids move out, so I just need a place to stay for a few days.
And I think another thing you can do is like, what's actually selling? Like, maybe Cricut stuff is your favorite, but it's really your crochet that's selling. And so there is some room to kind of play around there with like, if you don't like doing something, that's really hard to build a business around it. But why waste your time making things that aren't selling? So I would work on finding those things that you like making that are selling.
Yes, that is definitely. And I feel like every time I go to put out something new, I'm like, okay, I put together this thing and I'm going to go present it to the world. And they like this part of it. It's like, I never saw that coming. So
totally. What resonates with people is almost never what I think is going to resonate.
Right. And it's not that what you put out or what you made isn't good. It's just not what everybody wants right now. And we always see those things come back. How many times do we see the little teenagers right now show up in the clothes that we wore in high school and that kind of thing? Like,
I'm at Target now, and I'm like, let's see, I've made all these mistakes before, guys. Don't make these mistakes. I have the pictures to prove it.
Really, are we bringing that back? I don't know. I think we should all start spiking our bangs and rolling our jeans and see if we can bring that back. Okay, so that's I think that's some good information for craft booths and stuff in person. Now let's touch quick on online and Etsy. Let's start with Etsy.
Etsy's the easiest, but also the most saturated. So I think that's another place where we talked about this in the beginning, finding your niche, as well as figuring out other ways to stand out with beautiful photography, keyword optimized, what are they called? Product descriptions.
Yeah.
And it's hard, especially if you sell low priced things, because it's only 20 cents to list. And then there's the fees, but like that eats into, if you're selling cards, that really can eat into your profits, which is no fun.
Yeah. Exactly. The one thing I do like about Etsy, though, is it has the customer base. Just like a craft show, people are there on Etsy because they have their wallet out and they're ready to buy. Yeah. So as long as they can find you, which just takes a little bit of effort on your end, but hold on, we have some things to help you with these.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like, and their search is very robust, which is good.
Yes.
It is really hard, I'm finding, on Etsy. The competition with sort of foreign brands or companies is a struggle. So I don't know if there's anything really to do about that, but just know that we understand the struggle. It's really difficult to compete with somebody in China making tumblers for $5 when that just is not humanly possible here. But yeah, I
feel like there's always that, even when you go to a craft show in person, I feel like there's some of that, let's call it negativity, in the room as well.
Yeah.
And there's always, I believe in what you focus on is kind of what comes your way. So focusing on how you can stand out. They made it to the spot on the rank, and they're getting this many clicks, but how do you go above them? And really it's all, if you remove the emotional part of it, I always say, focus on the data, you can usually figure out how to beat them.
Yeah. And April is right. There are more and more scammers on Etsy, which just sucks. It's just ruining it for everybody.
Yeah. And they recently made some changes, and I think it took out some stores that were legit. But again, if you're looking at doing something online, it is do some research before you start, and there's definitely some room there to make a profit. So let's take a pause in the middle of our little session and talk about this. Any tips for managing your time?
I've got lots, but go ahead.
Right? I actually had to dive into that when I first designed, and then that's where I made my own planner. So this is to help you manage your time for a creative business owner, and then you end up with a lot of Post-it notes, but the week after a summit. I think putting it in a mindset where when you decide what you're going to do today, because this is what makes me money, this is what I have to do first, and then all the other stuff comes next to it, which I think staying off of social media, which we go on there to post something or share something, post an event that's coming up, and then pretty soon you're down this rabbit hole watching a baby giraffe being born, and you haven't done any of those things on your lists that actually make you money.
I completely agree.
That might have been my morning. It wasn't a baby giraffe, but it was a video I did not need to be watching.
Yeah. I mean, all of those are definitely ways. For me, I had to have a hard talk with my family about, because I still have young kids. And thankfully, the way that our life is structured, my kids are home all the time. So they do go to some school, but we also have homeschool. So like we have just a very complicated situation, but they're home a lot, which means that I don't get like full days without kids around. But my husband's home as well. And so there are times like right now where I said at 11 o'clock, nobody walks through that door over there, So I really had to like talk with my family about like, I mean, my husband's fully on board, but about like, this is mommy's working hours, right? This is when I need to work. This is what I do. This is my job. And so for some of that, like it has helped with the like constantly having them run in here and constantly ask me for things. So that's one thing. And then one thing I keep talking about recently is I started doing this a few months ago, and it has changed my productivity in a way that I did not expect. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Pomodoro method. So the Pomodoro method is basically work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes, work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes. And
what was that called?
Pomodoro method.
Pomodoro.
And so I've been kind of modifying that a little bit. I have this little timer. I would show it to you, but it's way on the other side of the room. It's a little flip clock. Yeah. So mine, yes. So it's very similar to that. Exactly. And so it like
Amazon
different times. Mine's a cube, but it functions the same way. So I set it for the 30-minute timer. And in that 30 minutes, I'm focused on one task. I don't open social media or my email or look at my phone. And then I take that 5-minute break. And instead of using it to look at social media or get on my phone, I use it to move my body. So for me, that's getting out of my chair. It's cleaning up my office, which works for productivity because my office has never been tidier in just cleaning it up in 5-minute chunks. I will go in and I will do the dishes. I'll go in and switch the laundry over or water the plants or make our bed, but I have to be moving my body. Yeah, exactly. I have to be moving my body for that 5 minutes. And then I get back into that 25 or 30-minute work period. And my brain is already like, okay, I only have a short period of time to work. So I need to be really productive before my next break. And I have found that one, my body does not hate me quite as much because I'm moving. And two, I'm more productive in those little chunks of time than I am if I sit for 4 hours.
Right.
So it's like such a small thing, but it has honestly, I can say it's been like life-changing for me in the last few months. And my body is so much happier for it as well. And my office stays clean. The dishes get done. The laundry gets done. Like all the stuff that wasn't getting done before is getting done now. So
that kind of nags at the back of your head if you don't. So that removes a level of stress that we didn't need to have as a business owner.
Yeah.
So I love that. I'm going to start trying that. I have to start moving more. And I got this new desk for Christmas, which rises.
Yep. Standing and a lot of times at the break, I'll stand it up or move it down so I can stand up as well.
Right. And I feel like I'm more productive that way, but it kind of goes into that saying on, if you have a deadline to get something done in the next 30 days, it'll take you 30 days to do it.
Exactly.
If you have a deadline to get it done in a week, you have a week. So it'll take you a week. So I do love that. I do love that you have my planner on your desk, Regine. So thank you. Let's see. Pam says she uses a bullet journal. Yes, bullet journaling really does help keep you organized too. To me, I think it's creatives love checklists too. So that's helpful. My boyfriend and I have a schedule to work together. He even helps me get busy.
I love that.
Motivation is a good thing. Awesome. Okay, so now we talked about what and whom you're going to sell to. We talked about where you're going to sell it. And then the next thing I have on my list that if you do not have this in check, it will never be a business for you, is your mindset to keep going.
Yeah.
So if you look at it as a business, it will produce money like a business. But if you say, I want to earn an income and quit my job, and you spend 10% of your time on it, you can't expect an income of 100%. Not that you have to give 100% to make 100% as entrepreneurship. Eventually that scale kind of tips to the other end. And, sometimes we'll be out at dinner and I'll tell my husband, I just made $300 while we had supper, or, something like that. And he'll be like, well, I'm having another beer. But so eventually you get to that point where you don't have to put in 30% to make 30% of your income. Eventually you have those things in place. But when you're starting out, it does have to be that mindset of, I can do this. I can make this work. I'm going to have people not like my product. I'm going to have craft shows not go the way they were supposed to. I mean, I think all of us have been to a show or put out a product online that nobody bought.
Yeah.
And you know what? We kept going. And
yeah.
That's the difference between those who I think are still around and those who fade off. So
I think you're very right on the mindset. I had just kind of a rough year last year and have not had a good start to this year either. And just financially and just with a lot of stuff going on. And I found myself last year, especially getting really discouraged, comparing myself to other people, feeling like I was going to be stuck where I was forever. And so I've really been trying to get out of that kind of comparison mindset because I can just fall into it so easily because there's so many people doing similar things. And I don't know, after a while, it can get exhausting. And so I think at some point I just had to be like, okay, I need to start focusing at least on the things that are really going well, the things that I love to do, like all of these even though I have parts of my business I don't want to do, like you and I were talking about taxes before this started.
Anything with numbers.
Numbers. That's the reason I majored in English. But I do feel like while there's stuff I don't like to do, I don't need to focus on that or focus on comparing myself. I just need to run my own race. So I feel like as long as I'm just concentrating, am I ahead of where I was before? Am I, doing things to keep moving ahead? Am I happy? Like, I just want to do this if I'm miserable. So what are pieces I can put into place to be less miserable?
Yeah, I love that. Like take a personal check internally. Like, is this, and then what is it that you hate? Because sometimes it's things like, okay, I'm doing this. I don't like this. And this isn't making me any money. So maybe it's some of those things that you can cut out. When I first started, I hated writing. I hated blogging.
My favorite part.
And that was my favorite. It's one of my favorite. But finding time to do it seems to be my other glitch right now. But
I mean, I don't post as much as most people do on social media. I'll go through times where I post a lot, but Instagram doesn't make me much money. So why am I putting so much time and effort into making reels or carousels or any of whatever they want me to do this week?
Yeah. When it dance like a monkey.
Me money. It's making other people money, but not me right now. So unless I need to put in another 100% of effort to get Instagram to grow right now, I'm just like, I'll post when I feel like it.
Yes.
And yes. January is always a hard month. I see somebody says January hard month. Always. It's always a hard month. I think part of it is that a lot of people do a no spend January. So there are just people out there not spending money. And it's like a little promise to themselves. So I think January is just January. And everybody spent all their money in the holidays.
Yeah, I think if you're doing products, it's definitely on the lower. But then it just gives you time to prepare because Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And you can't sell those handmade products. Well, you can on that day, but you're going to be selling them those 3 weeks before that. So it gives you time to kind of recoup on that. But I think everybody's business always has ebbs and flows. And every time that roller coaster down is always a hard one to swallow. And every time it goes back up, I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. Why do I always think about it so hard?
Same.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we have another question. So made to order versus well stocked.
I think it depends on if you're selling online or in person. I think big, full craft booths look good. If you just have like 5 things on a table, nobody's going to walk into that craft booth. I think it needs to be themed. Think it needs to look really good. It needs to entice people to walk in, which means you need a lot of stuff, which is hard. Especially you said you make earrings, so they're small, which makes it even harder.
Yeah.
But if you're selling online, I do feel like you can have a smaller number of products to kind of see what starts to sell without a bunch of inventory.
Yeah, that's good too. And I think if you have the smaller products like those, you can get creative with your booth. So if you have a smaller inventory, make sure you make up with it with something that's going to catch their eye so that they can come in. And it's all about making it a cute boutique feel experience nowadays.
Definitely.
How far in advance do you have? Should you have the holiday products ready? Again, are you doing it in person or shipping? So you need to allow time for shopping, time for shipping. And I always work backwards. I always say, I want to have my inventory ready to start. People are going to start buying at this such and such a date for this such and such holiday, and then work back from it.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to be crafting on December 24th trying to get orders out.
Right, exactly. And having that pre-made inventory maybe can help with that, but having it out there, like on Etsy, they even talk about 3 months. And there's a reason in July when you go to Hobby Lobby, all their Christmas stuff is out, because that's usually when people are doing it.
Yeah, I will say I do have a friend, my friend Crystal. She makes, she has like a combination. Mostly she makes like sensory kits for kids. So she makes her own Play-Doh, which has a bunch of different stuff that you can put in it. And then she's been making a lot of fun stuff on her laser as well. And it all kind of is for busy moms of little kids. And she has a hard stop date for every holiday. Like, you need to get your orders in for Valentine's Day by February 1st, or else you're not getting it. And so that helps too, because one, it gives people, I never remember what this is called, where it's only like a limited time offer, right? But then it also keeps her sanity.
Right. And if you put that out there, and as long as you say, well, I'm going to have a cutoff from February 1st, but if you don't tell anybody until February, right. The 31st of January, that's not going to help you. So you really need to go to work backwards. And I think if you go to Pinterest, there is like a, what do they call it? I can see if I can find it and come back and post it with this video if I can find it again. But they do have like a calendar that says, if you're thinking about this, so that could maybe help you.
Yeah, you can also look at Google Trends. If you just go to Google Trends, it's like googletrends.com or something.
Yeah.
And you can search for like Valentine's Day gifts, and you can see where in the year that starts to pick up.
Yes, I love that. Okay, somebody said, what is?
Oh, the Pomodoro method. That's where you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. And it's really helpful for productivity.
Productive for 25 minutes.
Productive for 25 minutes. You're not getting on social media. You're not checking your email.
Right. Yeah. Hard lesson to learn. Sometimes the environment around you just does not let that happen. But if you structure the majority of your day that way, you definitely will see a difference. Yes, the lesson I learned this Christmas, I had an open house on December 2nd, and I worked up until the 20th.
You don't want to have to do that.
Yeah. But now you know what they want, the time frame, how long it takes you to get it done. So with everything that we do, and I'm sure Cori will attest to this, it just makes you better next time. So we learn.
Yeah.
We learn. We just keep learning. Yes. And I think that's what Google Trends, they might even have a few documents for you.
Right. Yeah.
In the Pinterest Trends.
Google Trends is also helpful to figure out what's selling, right? Mm-hmm. So right now, unfortunately, if you look at the Google Trends for Cricut for the last 5 years, it's not like it used to be. And so, maybe look up, I don't even know, DIY tumblers or whatever that is. You can really see what's popular with people. What are people searching for? It's a really helpful tool.
I love that. Okay, one more question. Great topic. I know lots of crafters who would love to start a small business or are too scared. What advice would you have for them? I'm going to quote Nike and say, just do it. You don't get better by thinking about it. I don't lose weight by thinking about going on a diet. You lose weight by doing the activity. So, and maybe you'll start it and you'll realize, this isn't for me. This isn't my thing. I'm not loving this. And then you don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe it will explode and you find yourself 20 years later.
Yeah. For me, it's what's the next right thing? That's my, like, sometimes it's really overwhelming to think of like all the things you have to do. So what's the next right thing to do? What's the next right step to take? Whether it's, I have 1,000 things on my to-do list. Today, I'm going to open up a business banking account. I have, I have so many things to do today, but I'm going to research local craft fairs. Like, what's just one individual step in the big picture that I can do? And usually I call it the next right step. I think there's a book about it, but it just like, what's the step that moves me in the direction I want to go? Even if it's just a small step, you'll get there if you just keep taking those small steps. And after a while, those steps start to avalanche, right? And they start to become easier. Once you've done some hard things, the hard things become easier because you're doing them. It's just getting over that first initial hurdle. So it's like, okay, I've got this big list. Let's check something off.
Yeah. How do I eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
The other thing I like to do is put all my ideas down on a Post-it notes. And actually, if you can see the wall behind me, it's probably got a dozen Post-it notes on it right now. And then I look at those and I'm like, you know what? That one right there is not going to make me money. I want to do it, but there's no reason to do it today. There's no direct benefit of it. So then I move on to the next one. And I'm like, well, this one's late. So, like
I've got another productivity hack. My business coach helped me with this one. We kind of came up with it together. So if I have something, so say I had a craft fair coming up, right? And I needed to do 1,000 things for this craft fair. So I'm going to do a brain dump. I'm going to list out everything that needs to happen. Obviously I need to make each product. I need to price everything. I need to make a sign. I have to figure out Venmo. I have to, do all the things.
Get some tablecloths. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All the things. And it's a huge list and it's really overwhelming. So she had me color code my list of things that were, I don't know, how did she describe them? It was like easy tasks, medium tasks, and hard tasks, but she didn't want me to use those words. They were like beginner, intermediate, and expert tasks or something like that.
Like, there's always those that you could do in 3 seconds, and it took you longer to write it out than it would to actually go.
And she had me color code them, not like they were easy, medium, and hard. She had me color code them randomly. So for me, my easy tasks were yellow, my medium tasks were pink, and my hard tasks were teal, which is my favorite color. So it's not mentally looking at the red tasks going, oh, I have to do the red tasks. It was, okay, I've got teal tasks. I can do teal tasks, right? And so then you can look at everything, and depending on your brain that day, right? There are some days when my brain is on and things are kicking and I am doing the work. Then I'm looking at the list and I'm going, what's teal? What can I mark off? And then there's some days I have fibromyalgia. So there are some days where my brain is not functioning very well. And that's a yellow task. I'm going to check off the easier things on the list where I'm like, there's no way I can sit down and do all this other stuff. I'm just going to see what can I get done that's still moving me forward, but is easier for my brain this day. And I have found that making this color-coded checklist on basically everything that I've been doing lately has been really helpful, because then you're like, I checked off 3 pinks and a blue today. Yeah.
Sweet.
Really good.
And did you know they actually make highlighters that are erasable too? So you don't highlight them. So
I don't do almost anything on paper. I am like a digital girl.
I feel like I have a theme going.
You really have a theme going here. I just have me and my giant pot of coffee.
I love that. I love that. Next time I'm just going to come over. We're going to do it right there.
I love it.
Yes. Okay. I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at the notes. Okay. One more. I'm currently closing my brick and mortar store. Do I need to do this? Yeah. I need to do this for the process. Yes.
This is such a way to do it. What do you need to do? Get it all out of your brain and onto paper, color code your tasks, and then tackle them as your brain has space.
Right. And I'm sure that would be an emotional situation to be in. And I think this would help get rid of some of that emotion, and which is going to in turn get rid of some of the stress that you have for that. Christina says, thank you so much. I can't wait for the Crafting for Profit camp. I'm glad you brought that up. So let me drop a link in there. Do you want to? So Cori is the host of the Crafting for Profit camp. So do you want to give them a little rundown?
So Crafting for Profit Camp, this is year number 2. So we did this in January of last year, and it's hosted by me and Angie Holden. If you know who Angie is, I feel like everybody does. So Angie Holden and I actually started out with Sublimation Camp, which is basically an online event where to learn everything you ever wanted to know about sublimation. We brought together more than 20 teachers, and it was a 3-day event in May of 2022. And after that event, we had so many people asking us, okay, well, now I'm so good at sublimation. How do I sell these products? And so we started Crafting for Profit Camp. And Crafting for Profit Camp is basically a 3-day event, January 25th through 27th. And it's free to attend, so you can come all 3 of those days. Each day has 8 or 9 classes from 10 to 40 minutes long, each class on some aspect of crafting for profit. I think we have 22 speakers this year, or 24 speakers and 32 classes this year. So it is really robust. There is a lot to learn. We have picked out some of the best people that we know, people who actually sell things, so that
Profitably.
profitable things, so that they can teach you all of the tips and tricks. And so it's free to attend, and you can grab your ticket. And Chelly just put a link there. So you can just grab a free ticket and attend. Each class will be available for 24 hours. So the first day's classes are available from 9 a.m. Eastern time to 9 a.m. Eastern time the next day. So you have 24 hours to watch the classes. And there's Angie Holden. Hi, Angie.
Oh,
so she's here too.
I'm glad you could join us.
Yes. And so we would love for you to join us for Crafting for Profit Camp. It really is fun. We structure it like a summer camp. So not only is it just really useful, it can be really fun too. You can earn badges. We have a Facebook group with campfire chat. It's just a lot of information for people who want to start a small crafting business or grow their current crafting business.
Yes. And what I love about it too is that you don't, you go down that path and you think, okay, I want to start selling this or start selling that. So you start searching on YouTube and Googling and asking people. And pretty soon you have so much in here that you don't know how to organize it. But the way you have organized this camp, it's like, you guys are great camp leaders. It's here we're going to learn this, and it kind of takes you through the path. So
we also have, I think, Angie can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have 6 basics classes.
Yep. I looked it up today. So there's 6, and they're available every day.
They're available every day. So
3 days.
Only make it on Saturday, and you're like, I can only make it on Saturday. You do have a chance to watch those kind of basic classes, because we try to structure it where the more beginner classes, the things you need to do at the beginning of your business, are at the front, and then they get a little bit more advanced as it goes on. But those basic classes are available all 3 days.
Yes. And I always say, as somebody who's, been around more than a year, how old are we? Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. But so I always say that when you come in there, you're thinking, oh, I already know how to do that. I've already have whatever set up. And I always say, go watch those anyway, because when you first went through that, set, or when you set up that whatever, I feel like your mindset is different now. So, it's setting it up and doing it imperfect, and then going back and kind of editing and moving yourself a little bit further. That's what's going to keep you around. Yeah. So those people who do something, set it and forget it and move on, eventually you kind of start to fade off the radar.
I completely agree. I don't do almost nothing the same as I did when I started, right? We're always growing. Things are always changing. And I think new ideas are always coming out. So we have so many good teachers that have just so many really good ideas. And it's hard when you're like, oh, I have this really good system, but it's working okay. And I set it up, and I took so long to set it up, right? That's like, you have that amount of invested time to set something up. And then you realize there's a better way to do something out there. And then it's another mental hurdle of being like, I know that I spent all the time setting up this way the first time, and that, profited for me for a while, but maybe I need to change. Right. And I think that's just a hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And then sometimes however you set up or whatever you set up, it now has there's a new way to do it that you don't even know is out there. So you're like, oh, okay, well, my whatever is fine. The way I'm, making t-shirts or posting on my social media, it's fine and it's working. And then you watch some of these sessions, you're like, I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that was a thing. So I remember hearing that.
The things you already use, or
something like that. It definitely can upscale you. I do have a note to say, I would love to ask you, what are your top three? We don't have time to go over all 32 sessions, which they can get to those if they click the link that I put in the
They're all
comments.
listed, and all the teachers, so you can see who's there.
Yeah. But so that's good. But what are your three highlights? Like, what do you think is most talked about right now?
Asking me which of my children is my favorite, because I think there's so many good classes. I did write down three that I think are really good especially for beginners that aren't part of our basics classes.
Okay.
So the first one is actually from me and Angie. We did a class this year on handling competition and standing out. So we talked about some of that in this workshop here, but I do feel like this is the question that we get most often is like, it's oversaturated. How do I stand out? How do I deal with the feelings of, other people doing the same exact thing I am? So we have a class on how Angie and I both kind of approach that idea. I do talk a little bit, I think, about the niching down that I talked about at the beginning of this workshop, but it goes into more depth. I think that's just a really good class, because I think that's really honestly right now the number one question that we're getting is just like, there's just, how do I make my mark? So that's the first class. The second class, you guys are going to all hate me, but it's about finances. I think it's so important.
It's a hobby.
Yeah, it's really hard to move from a hobby to a business without really tackling those finances. Mm-hmm. And so we have Elise Laney, who is a bookkeeper. She's coming in to talk about getting started with your business finances. You need to know what money is coming in, what money is going out. You need to have a business bank account. And this is all the mental stuff that's really hard for creative people to get over, right? I think that there are so many creative people who are like, I just wanted to make stuff. I mean, literally, I called my blog, "Hey, let's make stuff," because all I wanted to do was make stuff. And now
it's not, "Hey, I want to do my accounting for my tax CPA."
Right? I mean, Angie and I both last year, or maybe 2 years ago now, hit this thing where we're making enough money in other states that now I have to send North Carolina money for tax, right? And it's just like stuff like that, where it's just like mind-bogglingly difficult as a creative person to get into the business finances and taxes. And so we do have this great class by Elise to really help you get started. Yes, and it's like Lori says, it's really easy to get in trouble without all of this. You should be probably collecting sales tax for even craft fairs, for your local,
Yes.
Like if I sell something at a craft fair here, I have to collect Washington sales tax. I can put it into the price of my product, so I don't actually have to charge somebody at the point of sale, but I do have to remit it. And if you collect sales tax and you don't remit it, then you're committing tax fraud. So we don't want you to do that.
Right.
There's a lot to learn. So at least gives you a basic, here's a primer on what you need to do. And then you can at least get started on that really difficult task.
Right. And it's not scary once you know what you need to do.
Right.
When you have somebody in your corner that will tell you, here's your list. So at least is great. And then it becomes one of those things. You set your 25-minute timer and you go do.
Exactly. And it's just so important, because I think people, they don't realize how much money they have coming in. They don't realize how much money they have going out. They don't value their own time enough to charge for it. All of those things. So that's another really important class. And I love it.
I'm not a numbers person. I hate math. And when I really focused in on that and said, okay, I'm going to keep track, and I'm going to look at it with numbers. I'm not going to look at it with, I made this much money, so this is my value. When I look at it, okay, this is what I'm doing every day. This is what I'm making. So now I can see what I need to do more of. Yeah. And my business grew 10 times faster.
Yeah.
Just by looking at the
that data.
Unfortunately.
And then my third class, we talked a little bit about mindset. We have Nicole Baker, who is a business coach. She's my business coach. She's Angie's business coach. She is amazing. She also has a phenomenal podcast about the book Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. If anybody is into the romantasy genre, you should go listen to that. It's called Fantasy Fangirls. Girls everywhere. Anyway, she has a class on goal setting for crafters, and she's very big into mindset. We talked about it a lot. I have to say that she has really, really helped me over the last couple of years, just really get into a good place as far as my business goes. So she has a really great goal setting class that I think is wonderful, especially if you're just kind of starting out and you're like, I'm so overwhelmed. What's the goal? What am I looking towards? So that's a great one.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the one that I saw too that I think a lot of people are going to love is the photography without the expensive equipment. Was that the right title?
Yep. Basically. It's Courtney Brickner. Courtney
Yeah.
is absolutely probably my favorite person to watch on the internet. She is just a bundle of joy. She is so fun to watch. If you don't follow her, you should watch her Instagram.
Crafty Brick, right?
Yeah, the Crafty Brick.
The Crafty Brick. Yes. So watch her on
really,
Instagram.
Yeah, she just
will not regret.
Happiness. I love it. But yeah, she has a great class on, it's basically photography with your iPhone or your Android phone versus having to have all this fancy equipment.
Yes. And we're such a visual world. This can be one of those things that are going to just push you out into the market so everybody can see.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Lori says, I keep falling into signing up for every summit, not having enough time to do my business. And I have to say, I think we all go through that. Like, you have to me, I don't need to know what I need to do today, but I need to know what I'm going to have to know tomorrow. I don't have to know it all, but I need to know what I'm going to have to know. So as I grow, I want to know what the next level is. I mean, I think about it as a roadmap. So if you go out and you're going to go from North Dakota to Washington, if you don't have that in mind, you're just going to kind of flail wandering everywhere and not really get to your destination or get to the right destination. So I think that we all, as online entrepreneurs, go through that because there's so much you have to know to get out and into that space.
I would say for something like an event like for this, if you're like, okay, I have this much time I can dedicate to this, right? It may not be a lot of time. So then it's when you can go through the, list of classes that we're offering and just be like, okay, I know that I need to make progress in these 3 areas. Are there classes that address those 3 things? So you don't have to watch all 32 classes. It's very, very hard to watch all 32 classes. We have some people who do it though, which it's always amazing that people get through every single class. There's people who take days off work. I mean, we have a lot of really dedicated people, but I understand I've got twin 8-year-olds. I'm running my own business. It's busy. It is a busy life we lead here. And so I sign up for things and then I'm just like, okay, I know I need to make progress in, like, for me, it was like being able to get on video. Like the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you is a miracle in the last 3 years because I was just so hesitant. So I was like, okay, what are some things I can learn to get more confidence to, what equipment do I need? So I started to like really look into just like, I want to get better in this area. What can I do just to move in the right direction in this one area instead of moving in the right direction in all the areas? Because that can be really overwhelming.
Yeah, I love that too. And I think looking at these summits as an actual summit like you would attend in person and just blocking off your time, going through them, taking in what you need to take in and what you don't get done to say, you know what, it's obviously it didn't work out. That is not, I was not in the spot where I needed to watch these 3 sessions that I wanted to that I missed. Like it's just not in my cards right now.
Yeah.
And something will come up later. But if you do want to go through them slowly, although they are free during these 3 days that we have scrolling on the bottom, the 25th through the 27th, you do have the all access pass.
Right. So we have an all access pass, which gets you access to all the classes for a year. We do a year because we learned the hard way. What is lifetime access? My lifetime, your lifetime, the platform's lifetime. And we just wanted it really to be like, this is like, it's because like Chelly said, if you have 1 month to complete a deadline, you've completed it in a month. If you have 1 week to complete a deadline, you get it done in a week. So we give you a year, not a lifetime. So you can get through all the classes within the year. It's totally possible. That also gives you the chance to be like, okay, right now I really need to work on my photography, and you can work on that for a while. And then you're like, you know what? I really need to start working on social media. And so then you can go back to the camp and you can pull the social media classes. So you get access to all the videos for 1 year. You get a whole bunch of bonuses, which is fun. So you get, I think we have more than $300 or $500 worth of bonuses, checklists, ebooks, courses, all sorts of extras that you get that you wouldn't get with the free ticket. Even with the free ticket, we have more than $6,000 worth of giveaways. So if anything, grab your free ticket and just enter the giveaways. You don't even have to attend any of the classes. We have everything from a dream box. So you can win a dream box. We have a lot of people giving away courses. Jennifer Maker, who I'm sure you guys all know. She is giving away 20 different scholarships to her AI art and design class.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
giving scholarships to my visual branding class because that's my niche really, is I love visual branding. Angie's giving away seats to her small business prep course. I think I got that right. So there is just a lot that we're giving away as well. So those are all super fun. And you don't have to go on Facebook to enter them, which I know is difficult for some people if they're not on Facebook. They're all within the platform itself. So you can enter those even if you're not in the Facebook group. And then we do have the fun Facebook group where we just, everybody's talking about fun. It's really fun. We have a really fun Facebook group. Am I missing anything, Angie? Is she still here?
Yeah, I noticed there was the t-shirt business ebook. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. So there's a t-shirt. And Angie and I also have a class. If you're interested in decorating t-shirts, there's some crazy good tech coming out. And it's expensive, but we go through a class basically. If you're in HTV and you're kind of maybe moving into sublimation, we then share some other options after that. If you're looking at really growing your t-shirt business, we have a class on that as well.
That's good. And then there was also a pricing sheet, which I think is another, I think there was more than one pricing.
There might be. Jennifer Maker has a free pricing sheet as for the part of the All Access Pass.
Now I looked at it and I can't remember which one was in the class and which one, but I know there was more than one, but figuring out like what to sell for so that you can make a profit, it's going to make or break.
Laura Payne from, Color Me Crafty.
Oh, yes. Yep, Jamila. Yep.
She has a pricing course in our camp this year. So yeah, we just have, we really tried to cover all the topics we could think of. We don't want to leave you guys with any big holes or anything. And
so whatever you're feeling like you're short on, there's going to be at least one workshop for that.
And if for some reason there isn't, I think Angie and I are probably going to do this again next year. So let us know. We want to know what else you guys want to learn. If we're missing something that's key or something that's sort of niche specific, we would love to be able to cover it because we don't want people to kind of sit there stagnant and not have the joy in making money and making your crafts and being able to sell them.
Yes. Yep. Angie said she's still here, but now I can't remember what we just said.
I can't know. I asked her a question. I can't remember.
It'll come to us, Angie. Will there be anything on laser designing? There is a laser session, right?
Yeah, there's a laser session. Angie does a laser session. It's pretty basic, so it doesn't have anything about designing. But can I give a plug for something completely unrelated to any of this? I have a YouTube series on using Adobe Illustrator that's really good for laser designing. So it starts with, it's all about designing in Adobe Illustrator, which is where you're probably going to want to do designs for laser crafting. And it's all free. So you can go to my YouTube channel. It starts with the workspace and it works through. So it's really good for designing. And I love lasering. I just got my 4th laser cutter.
Well, they're like shoes. They're like
shoes. They're so different. I need them for different things. So we're having the X-Tool S1 coming as well.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I'm gonna have to go check that out. I think I'm subscribing to your YouTube, but I don't always go over there. I just figured out now how to watch it on my TV because that really made me. That was kind of like saying I can program my own VCR now, right?
I know, seriously.
But I can watch it on my TV now, and then otherwise I feel like I'm at my computer all day. So I figured out how to stream.
That's nice, actually.
And all the apps and everywhere, right down by the fireplace.
You could do that with Crafting for Profit Camp too. Watch it on the big screen.
Yeah, that would be good. Somebody said, what kind did you get?
I got an X-Tool S1. It's a 40-watt diode laser cutter, if that means anything to you. So it'll be real. I'm still learning how to use it, but it's my third X-Tool cutter. I also have a second X-Tool cutter, and then I have 2 glow forges. Nice.
Again, you can't have too many. And this one, it didn't show up. This one was Patrick from Caesar.
Hi, Patrick.
That's fun. What kind of laser cutter? Let's see. X-Tool is still in the box. Well, then you need to go check out Cori's.
I don't have a D1. I wanted an enclosed one, so I only have an M1 and an S1.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I'm doing can probably be applied to the D1.
Yeah. And I want to learn everything about it before I pull it out of the box. Again, you're going to learn by doing. You're not going to learn about thinking.
That's true. It's hard though because you're actually playing with fire. So number one thing, get yourself a fire extinguisher. That's my number one tip for.
Yeah, go buy a fire extinguisher and then pull that thing out of the box. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. as we start rambling, I forget what we even say. So some of
know.
these comments, I have to go back and I'll be like, oh, that's what she meant. Awesome. I'm just scrolling through the comments to see if we missed. So you can sign up for the free one. After you sign up for the free one, then it'll take you to sign up for the all access pass. And I did drop in the comments, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to watch this when I need it. I'm going to grab all those bonuses. So you can go ahead and jump right over there and grab the all access pass, which sometimes that just takes away from, I always say I hear things differently. If I know I have to take all this in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I spend so much time worrying about that I don't actually take it in. So if I have the time to go through it at my own pace, I'm much better. So when I join these summits, I'm always about the all access pass.
Yeah.
The fire extinguisher tip. I know, right?
In the middle of the forest. Like literally there's woods on all sides of us. If something catches on fire here, I'm burning down all my neighbors' houses. So
right. It is so cold here, it probably would just freeze.
I know right now it would freeze. And normally it's raining because I live in the Pacific Northwest, but you can make jewelry with a 5-watt. My X-Tool M1's a 5-watt. So go read I have a post and maybe video about the X-Tool M1, which is going to be similar.
Yes. So over at heyletsmakestuff.com.
Correct.
Okay. It's like, I feel like I know all this until I say things out loud in the video.
I'm like, am I even right about that?
Yeah, I give out my own wrong. So why would I, I have to think twice about everybody else's. All right. I think that was it. I do have a checklist. If you guys are feeling like, okay, can you guys just say everything that you just said again? I have a checklist over on the blog. I'm going to drop that in the comments. And we're probably a few minutes ahead as I drop these comments. So that makes sense. But you could go over to my blog, download this PDF, and then that'll give you a little bit, take that 20-minute timer and then see if you can mark off one of these, go do a little walking around, empty the dishwasher, come back and do another one.
Yep.
So there is a checklist too, if you guys are interested in that. But I think that's it. Does anybody have any more questions before we let her go power slam her coffee that's left there on her desk?
It's so funny. It's decaf. It's not even doing me any benefit. It's just keeping me warm at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, I would definitely have to have decaf or I would be up. She says, thanks. She must have missed it, but she's going to, or is it coming up on the camp? No, those videos that you talked about for the laser are on your website. Right?
Yeah, so laser is on my web. Yeah, all my laser videos are on either my YouTube channel or I've got blogs about them. Okay. For most of my laser stuff, I have videos too. I started doing laser within the last year and a half. And
trying to get in. And he bangs on the door until I open it. Anyway, but there is a laser session at the camping.
Yeah, I wish if Angie's still here, she can chime in. Actually, let me look really quick about what it is.
Cat. I like to think I'm in charge, and then the kids move down. And I'm like, now I'm in charge, and then the cat was like, no, you're not.
I know we have a 110-pound dog, and he's always like staring at me through the sliding glass door over here. Okay, so Angie has a class called Lasers. Should you add one to your small business? And I'm going to read her a little blurb here. Dive into the fascinating world of laser technology with our class designed for craft business owners. Gain a comprehensive understanding of what laser machines are and how they work, empowering you to harness their precision for cutting, engraving, and shaping your craft projects. So that's what the laser craft class is about. I mean, I'm a huge fan of lasers. Clearly, I have 4 of them, and I think it's so fun. So I'm a huge fan. I love hearing your cat. That's awesome.
I just told my husband yesterday, he's so quiet and he sleeps so much more. I think we have to take him to the vet. And he instantly is a whole new cat. He's like, he's like, I'm fine, meow. Yeah. But then I also have the sunroom shut too, so he can't get in the sunroom. But now he's going to come visit us.
Hello, cat.
A little cat cameo, right?
This is my favorite way to view cats since I'm pretty allergic to them. I can just view them on the screen.
There you go. He is a goofball. He just turned 10 sometime around Christmas Day. Sweet. Okay, we have a couple more comments. Thank you, Lori. We appreciate that. Regina says, great information. Thank you. I always love to talk about crafting for business.
Always. I love it. I'm so glad you're joining us, Regina.
Yes. Awesome.
It's going to be fun. It really is just really, I don't know. I'm hosting it. So if it's a huge stress for me and I still find it fun, I know it's got to be fun if not behind the scenes.
I know. And it's sometimes I'm in these and I'm like, okay. And it's there's so much in there that I, as a business owner, want to take in and participate in and kind of refresh myself. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
So
I watched some of our sessions and learned things. I was like, all right, this is awesome. I'm getting stuff out of it too.
Yeah, I feel that way about the one I just hosted. And I have a list of like 6 of them that I personally have to go back and watch and rewatch with a different mindset, because as you're planning the summit, you kind of only hear this much.
Yeah, truly. It's like I can't watch, as I'm planning the summit, I can't watch 32 videos. So it's like I gotta go back and like make sure that everything is awesome. I mean, we actually do get through them before it starts, but it's one of those things where it's like,
well, you kind of, yeah, you listen to him as a host and then you go back and listen to him as a business owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I get what you mean. Perfect. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you can message Cori or I on any of our social medias or drop it on the comment to this video and we will both be notified. So if you have a question for one or the other, I'll make sure that if you have a question for Cori, she gets tagged. But I hope to see you guys over at the Camp for Profit, the Crafting for Profit. No, too many words. See?
Early, it's Monday. Why did we do this on a Monday morning?
Yeah, right. Crafting for Profits, right there, scrolling across the screen, but Chelly couldn't say it, right? Tongue twister. So yes, Regina says she's coming, but she's going to be traveling, so she grabbed the All Access VIP. So appreciate that.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, then you can travel in peace and then come back and learn.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're entertaining. Thanks for joining us. You should see the outtakes in some of my videos. I thought, oh my gosh, you're putting these on reels because maybe
they're pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Cori, and I will see the rest of you guys at Crafting for Profit.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.